So the learning target from yesterday, which was Wednesday, was order of operations, and the main thing we were working on was a 5th grade standard of just order of operations, trying to make sure that we can get through PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Now, one of the main things is the multiply or divide from left to right, then the add or subtract from left to right. As I go through these, I'm going to kind of point out some stuff. Let's start with number 1. This was last night's homework. Okay, with number 1, you had to do this division and get 9. Then you had to do that multiplication and get 162. Then you added and got the 176 and then subtracted. We talked yesterday about that I will have to grade per row. And so this one, let's say it's 2 points each. It's 4 rows you filled in. It would be 8 points. That way, each row. That's why I've asked you to show your work. I'm not a goofball. I realize you can type them in a calculator, but that is also why math teachers ask you have to write it all out. Okay, let's go to number 2 and check it. The first step you had to do was that multiply from left to right. Then that divide, then the add, and then the other add. Okay, so number 2. Question.
If you do these out of order, is the question going to be wrong?
Sometimes you might get lucky, okay, but I am supposed to do my best, I don't know how else to say that, to catch that you did it out of order. So, I'm really supposed to check that you got it in that order.
So
Okay?
It's counted wrong?
It is counted wrong if it's out of order.
What was that right?
It doesn't matter. You have to show the order. It's the way of math. Yes. You will miss steps, yes. You should be getting, like, what I'll call partial credit. You might get 2 points, and then 2 points, and 2 points. But whatever steps are out of order, we're supposed to take off points. So it has to be in order. Listen, if you want to do your test or quiz, whatever, tomorrow's a quiz, but if you want to do your quiz tomorrow in colors like I did, so that you make sure you only do one step. Like when I do, I'll show you number 3. When I did number 3, I said, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is this multiply. And I wrote 32. I then got out my black pen and I copied the rest of it. Okay? Then I kind of looked at it again, like if I'm right here. And then I said, okay, what should I do next? Well, the rule is add or subtract from left to right. So add or subtract, add or subtract, add or subtract, add or subtract, add or subtract. I got to do that add first. So I then got the 41, and I copied the rest of the problem. Now, all I've got left is add or subtract, but it's from left to right. So add or subtract, add or subtract, add or subtract. I got to do that subtract. I did that and got the 32. Then there's only one step left, which makes it easy, and you get down to the 50. Does that make sense? Everybody good? Okay. So like number 4. Here's one that could have gotten you if you didn't do it in the right order. The first step is multiply or divide from left to right. You have to do this multiply first. Copy the rest of the problem. Then, there is still multiplication left right there. So, you have to do that next. 6 times 17. I got 102. Then, I bring down the rest of the problem. Then, I have to do that subtraction next, which I got 19. And then I add, and I got 23. Listen, one hint from the old lady who's been doing this a while and graded a lot of papers in her life. Some of my smartest kids that usually make straight A's might not make an A on this test because of what I call going too fast. I've already had one kid that admitted to me that when they got down to the end of this, they accidentally changed it to an addition of 14. They just changed the number. Or they drop that number totally, like maybe they got right here and they forgot to add the 4. Be careful with handwriting and just making sure you copy it right, okay? You should be with me paying attention as we go over this. No, you're not. You weren't. Number 5, okay? First step would be that multiplication. So I got 20. I wrote the rest of it. Next step has to be this multiplication. Okay, I got 220. Next step has to be that subtraction. And then I added and I got all the way down to the 221. Any questions on that one? Okay, number 6. We multiplied and got 112. You have to multiply again, and yes, you get in the thousands. This is where I kind of warned you yesterday. You would get 1,000 numbers. Then, you can hand me that. You add 11. And then you would add 17. Now, next thing is, any questions on 6? And I realize these were honestly pretty easy. 7 and 8. I kind of asked y'all to try, okay? But, meaning you're my advanced group, so some kids may not have done it, but I asked y'all to try. All it is that when you're right here, you multiply first, then you divide, and I got the 27. Then I multiplied times 6, and I got the 162. And then the last step, I realized if you put it in a calculator, you get negative 152. I'm not saying y'all can't do it. It's just that I haven't officially taught negatives and addition. So I was kind of hoping y'all could do it, but I know I haven't taught it, so I wouldn't ever test you on it yet. Okay? But that's your future. I want you to imagine these problems with variables, fractions, and decimals. That's algebra. That's algebra, like totally. Okay? Looking at number 8. We got division. Then we multiply. Then we add, and then we subtract. So the final answer is negative 87. Okay? All algebra does is they start with order operations in 5th grade. 5th and 6th grade, we start throwing in the variable like we did Monday. There's an X in there, but they tell you X is 7. So you fill it in. You still do order of operations. Then they start throwing in next year, 7th grade, they'll throw in decimals. So maybe instead of having times 11, maybe you have times 11.5. Then they'll throw in, instead of making it a decimal, they'll throw in a fraction. Because you should know, from me, how to do 9 times 11 and a half, like a fraction. Okay? Then they'll start, like, it just keeps building. And that's why I've been kind of harping on this week that I'm trying to get you a real good foundation. We got to know order of operations. Number 9, did you get 807? Number 9, did you get 400 and something? If you got 400 and something, you did it out of order. You had to do, going back up, you had to get 57 first. Okay, so down here, right, you got to do this division and get rid of division before you do addition. A lot of kids today have said, but I have 400 and something, and I'm like, you did it out of order. They added before they divided. And in PEMDAS, you do division before addition. Okay, number 10. Okay, this one was one that if you did this minus before you divided, you'd get a different answer. Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, y'all are quiet today. And to me, 11 and 12 were easier. 11, we got 9, and 12, we got 48. Okay, these to me were easier than the rest. Question? Got 3. Go back up. Did you get a 7 in the front? Oh, I know why. Because listen, here's total order of operations. Look, what you did was you added this next, and you got 4. You can't do that. It is add or subtract from left to right. Add or subtract, add or subtract, add or subtract. That means you have to do that first. Stop for 1 second. Let me finish with him. No, it does not. I need you to listen again. It is add or subtract from left to right. It is multiply or divide from left to right. And listen, this is what you need to think of. So like on that one, it is like all you've got left is subtraction and addition. So the rule is to go add or subtract, and you've got to go left to right. And some of you I know it sounds silly the way I say this, but it works. When you're looking, you go add or subtract, add or subtract, add or subtract, add or subtract. You go across the paper. And I know it sounds goofy, but I literally do. Add or subtract, add or subtract, add or subtract, add or subtract. Whoop! I hit subtract first. I have to do that. And then add or subtract, add or subtract, add or subtract. Then do that. You can now see how you'll get the wrong answer if you don't do it in the right order. Question. Number 9. Number 9 was a little big, but it was doable. Did you get that?
I must have messed up.
Listen, did you get 400 and something?
I got 17. Got to add.
I'm not positive. You had to multiply that first and get 57.
Okay, wait, let's see.
You got to divide first, yeah. Yes. That's why this whole worksheet was created.
I must have asked them to subtract.
Okay. The whole worksheet was created to test y'all's abilities on the multiply or divide from left to right. Because most people can do parentheses first or exponents or whatever. It's those 2 steps that confuse us all. Okay? Now, today we're going to be doing a lesson on expressions. And I'm going to bring you a little sheet that looks like this. Now, I'm going to be honest. This is easy if you listen to what I'm getting ready to show and teach. And I don't mind saying this to anyone.
Teachers and students, please excuse this interruption. We need all students that have not had their picture made, please come by the office.
Okay.
Any student that has not had their picture made, please come by the office at this time.
Probably kids who have no elective or PE before now. So if you've not had a spring picture yet, go for it and then jump back in when you get back in here. Now, basically, we're going to be taking chunks of words or groups of words, and we are going to be making algebra problems. We're not exactly trying to solve them. That's the weird part. We are just trying to write a math problem. Now, this is not what I call one of the easiest things. Okay. Now, okay, coming back up here. Here's the deal. This can be very easy if you will just listen for a few minutes. And I'm going to tell you, Miss Sawyer, she used to teach high school math. And so this morning, she kind of told me the way she does it. And I'll be honest, it's made it so much easier. Now, the first thing she did is she created this note sheet. It's almost like a little cheat sheet. If you'll notice, it's showing you an addition problem. These are expressions, and we talked about expressions because they have no equal sign. Okay, so she showed you an example, and then there's a list of different words that can mean those things, such as minus means subtract, or decreased means subtract. Now, they're not all here, but a lot of them, okay? Now, go into multiply and divide. I will tell you, there is a fancy word on here called a coefficient. It is the number always in front of the variable. I want you to notice, we talked yesterday about a 2 and a y being bumped up against each other, and that meant multiply. All it is instead of saying 2, like I always just say the number 2, we should say the coefficient of 2. It's the same thing. It's called a coefficient because it's bumped up against a letter, okay? Now, notice this. We've got some more examples, times, product, things like that. One of the ones that has tricked kids today has been the word twice. Twice just means 2 times something. Not 2 plus, 2 times. Please stop. And then division, okay? Now, there are a couple ways to write some of these. You can write half of y, meaning 1/2 times y, or you can write half of y and write y divided by 2. And we're going to talk about this. Okay. Do it.
We were talking about that and not to that, but instead of making it, it's an easier way just to draw it in.
Oh, yes. Yes. And here is the whole thing to this. Part of this is kind of weird because we have to first decide a variable. And a variable is going to be like something that we're not sure of. And when creating a variable, you are like, I might say, and I'm going to start with number 1 here, just to kind of show you. I might say M for money. Someone else might say E for Elliot's money. Okay? It doesn't matter. As long as the first thing you do is we're going to define our variable. We're going to give it a definition. Now, I personally make them short and sweet. I say something like M equals money. Okay? That means I'm going to use the letter M as my variable, and I'm going to say that it's going to stand for the money. If you wrote E for Elliot's money, it's okay. That's the same thing. As long as you define the variable. Okay? Now, okay, when you are reading this is the trick that Miss Sawyer taught me that I'd never thought of before. If you will look at whatever this sentence is or the statement, this one is 4 times more money than Elliot. If you will look at that and literally above it, write what it means. Like we know that 4 means the number 4. We know that times means multiply. Okay? We are saying that M is money. You have just laid out your expression above the words. I know it kind of sounds silly, but like you wrote it right there. It is 4 times M. So how do you write 4 times M? 4M. Bam. Right there. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. There you go, guys. Okay? It is. For some kids, though, this can be really confusing. Now, there's a few tricks in here, so don't try to go ahead of me. Here we go. Half as many pages as George. How do you write half? 1/2. 1 over 2. Half as many pages. We don't know the pages. We don't know if he read 5 pages or 200 pages. So I'm going to use P equals for pages. Okay, you might do a G for George's pages, okay? But half as many, you got 2 different ways you can write it. This is the weird one. You can either do 1/2 of P, meaning of means multiply, or you could do a P over 2 and use division. Whatever kind of makes sense to you. It's half as many pages. Half as many divided by 2 pages. This is the weird one, okay? Okay, so try the third one. Listen, it's basically this way. After you do about 5 or 6 of these, you're like, oh, I get it. So just give me don't freak out yet. Here we go. Number 3, the width of the box that is 4 inches less than the length. Now, please stop for a second. We're going to take off part of this one because this one should really have 2 variables, and I don't want to flip you out yet. So, let's just do this part. 4 inches less than the length. So we know the number 4, write it. Less than, less means minus, and our variable would be L. Now, here is a trick of the algebra world. Your variables in algebra should be lowercase letters. The reason is, geometry world uses uppercase letters. Okay. It looks like a 1. So in algebra world, at least until last year, I know the world's dropping cursive, okay, I realize that, but what they would do is if you needed an L, they would make a cursive L. I know it looks silly, but because a normal print L looks like a 1, the world of algebra would make it a cursive L. Okay, now, I don't know if they'll keep doing that because cursive, I know, is going away, but whatever, that's not for me to debate. Now, here is the other trick. This is a big trick. This is a Miss Sawyer saved my life trick. I want you to think about this, okay? 4 inches less than the length. We know that length, or our variable, is our variable. Okay, L is our variable, but here's the trick. Oh, it's like she had angels come to me this morning when she taught me this. Listen, there's a trick word out there. The word is then. T-H-A-N. Not T-H-E-N. Don't let them trick you. T-H-A-N. When you see the word then, you're going to literally flip-flop the math problem. I know that up here it looks like we should write 4 minus L. But I want you to think about this. We start with a length of something before we can ever take 4 away. You have to start with the length before you take away 4. They need you to flip this. Like, flip it. And it's all because of the word then. So it's length minus 4. I used to just tell my students, well, think about it like you start with a length before you can ever take away anything. But her word then is the right word. It's the word that makes you flip it. Okay? That's a trick. And it helps. Okay, so we good on that one? Never at this point. Here we go. Next one. The cost of a CD and a $12 DVD. Okay, we don't know the C of the cost of the CD. I do C for cost, or you can say cost of CD. Either one. Doesn't matter. C is the cost of a CD and means add a $12 DVD. Think about it. And means add. And think about what they're doing. They're starting out with a CD, and then they're adding $12 because they bought a DVD. Does it make sense though a little bit? It's all it is you're taking words, things we do every day. Maybe not both those because that's money, but like we go and we buy one thing and then we add something else to it. It makes sense. It's just we don't write a math problem before we walk out of Walmart. Okay. The total cost, now this one's a tricker, but that's why it's got a little star, but I want y'all can do this. Listen. The total cost of 3 drinks and a $3.50 box of popcorn. So we know that they're buying 3 drinks. Do we know how much the drinks are? No, that's our unknown. That is our variable. But with those 3 drinks, and they're buying a $3.50 of popcorn. You just, like, pull the numbers out. Pull what they're doing. Then, there's no word then, so you just wrote it up there. It is 3 times the D. We don't know if drinks are $1 or $5. If it's the movie theater, they're probably $5. Plus $3.50 for popcorn. This is what's called a two-step equation because it has multiply and add. But it makes sense. I mean, y'all know that. Like, if you go to the movies and you buy your friend a drink, you know you got to pay for it. So it's 2 times whatever the cost is, and then you'd add the price of the popcorn. Kind of makes sense. Okay. 6 feet less than the width. So, we know the number 6. We know less means subtract. We don't know the width. The width is our variable. It is our W. It is our variable. Now, this one has the then in it. T-H-A-N. Just leave it cracked. Thank you. Then is the variable. I got off track. You ready? Okay. Then is our magic word. That means flip it around. Because we start with the width, we got to know our width before we can ever take 6 feet away. Then is our magic word to flip this thing around. Okay. Look at the next one. It's fine, just leave it open. Okay, we got 4 times as many apples. So, we got 4. We know times means multiply. Just kind of jump in. As many apples. We don't know how many apples there are. We're on the back. Yes. It's okay. So, A is going to be our variable for apples. Okay. If we want 4 times the amount of apples, it's just multiply. It's just 4A. It's 4A. No, I need you to kind of think of it like try to get rid of the multiply sign. And in the algebra world, it's just up against each other. You mean the dot? Try to drop that, though. Like, this means multiply in algebra world. Okay? So, my friends who are just coming in, listen, just kind of jump in with us, and I'll explain. This will be tomorrow. This will be on tomorrow's quiz. And then we'll go over the homework tomorrow before the quiz. You ready? Okay. All it is we're going to take these words and we're going to write a math problem. We're going to write an expression. Okay. You pull the words out first. Like we know 10 means the number 10. We know more probably means add, more than. Okay? Now, what we don't know is the variable for shoes for Reuben. Like, what I'm going to do is name shoes. S is going to stand for the shoes. We have to label a variable. We talked about S can be for shoes. You might put an R for Reuben's shoes. Both are fine. That's good. Okay? Now, you take this, and we need to write it as an expression. But, y'all happen to come in on the tricky one, meaning there is a trick word in here. The trick word is then. And I keep highlighting it because it's like magic. Okay. When you see the word then, that means don't write it the way it is. Flip it. Then means flip it. Because first we need shoes before we can ever buy 10 more. We need to know how many shoes Reuben has before we can ever add 10 to it to get an answer. It's plus. More means plus. But we flip it because of the word then. Okay, like we start with his shoes, and then we're going to flip it for 10 more. That magic word, the word then, only then, T-H-A-N. She said there's a tricker in there with then, T-H-E-N. Be careful. It's then is what flips it. Okay, so let's try another one. 6 hours more per week than Theodore. Okay, slow down. We got 6 hours more means plus sorry, per week, I'm going to do a W for week, okay? And then Theodore. Then is another magic word. So, yes, I'm going to do a W for week. Okay, you could do T for Theodore's week, okay? But we do need to switch it. It would be W plus 6. And yes, if you give me 6 plus W, I have to count it wrong. I'm begging you. You got, learn this with me. Yes? You try to make your variable represent what it is, okay? 1/3 of the points that the Eagles scored. Now, think about it this way. 1/3 of the points, P is points.
Last call for students that need to get their picture taken. Last call for pictures. Please report to the judge.
Please stop. We heard you. It takes a minute. Thank you. Here we go. 1/3 of the points. Of means multiply. Of means multiply. So P is going to be points. Of means multiply, so it's just 1/3 P. Okay? If you just walked in, just jump on number 11 with me because it is a little more understandable. Okay, twice. The word twice means 2 times, not to add. It means twice, 2 times. As many ringtones, okay? Now, we are making R our variable to stand for ringtones because we don't know how many ringtones there are. You might download 5 ringtones, you might download 50, okay? My variable is going to be R equals ringtones. Okay? So that's the first thing. Now, you could put an M for Mary's ringtones. It would be the same thing. It would be just as correct. Okay. Now, so 2 times R is written as 2R. I know it's really short. It looks kind of weird, but try to drop the multiply sign. And I know I keep reteaching it, but we obviously keep having kids coming back in from pictures. Okay. Okay. Now we'll jump on number 12. Let's try this one. Basically, I think everybody's back, so I'm going to say it one last time. Please sit down. Okay, we have a statement or like a little sentence here, and we're going to make it into a math problem, into an expression. Okay, it says $5 less on dinner than James spent. Now, pull out words that you know. You know the number 5 looks like a 5. Less means subtract. Okay? Dinner is going to be our variable. We don't know how much he spent on dinner. It's kind of like our unknown. He might have spent $30. He might have spent $100. Okay? Now, what we need is to write this, but there is a tricker in here. You guys who just walked in, listen. There's a magic word right here. The word is then. T-H-A-N. Okay? Only T-H-A-N. And not T-H-E-N. Okay? So, what you're going to do is you're going to, when you see then, you're going to write it the other way. Don't write 5 minus D. We're going to write it as D minus 5. Only because of that word. And it's because you have to know how much his dinner cost before you can ever take away $5. If you really think about it, you can't take away 5 if you don't have anything to take it away from. So that's why you swap it, and it's because of that word. Okay. But listen, that word tells me to swap it around. Okay? Yes. Okay, star is a 2-step problem. We'll get there in just a second. On 13, 6 years less than Tracy's age. So we got 6, the number 6, less than means subtract. I'm going to use A for Tracy's age, or you could use T for Tracy's age. Okay? I'm going to define my variable. A equals age. Or you could say A equals Tracy's age. It doesn't matter. T for Tracy's age. As long as you define your variable. Then means flip it around. A minus 6, because you start with an age before you ever subtract 6. Okay. Number 14 is a two-step problem. Okay. It says you bowl 3 games and pay for a $2 shoe rental. So think about bowling. Y'all know how it works. If you walk in and you're going to pay for 3 games, you don't know how much the games are. You get there, you got to figure that out. Okay, but you're going to pay for 3 of them. And you got to go over and you got to pay $2 for the pair of shoes. So you not only got to buy this, you got to buy that. Okay? So, it makes sense. We walk into the bowling alley, we're going to buy 3 games and the $2 pair of shoes. Okay, if you bought 2 games, it'd be 2G. If you bought 14 games, it'd be 14G. But you always got to buy the shoes, unless you own them. Okay, this one, I wish you'd kind of take off some of this. Okay. Pull out this part. I want you to think about this. 4 times the Senate. We don't know the Senate, right? That's the weird part. Okay. So S is going to be our variable. Basically, we're trying to find out if we had an equal sign, it'd be that. So, think about it this way. 1 second. 4 times the Senate. But we got 35 more. 35 more. Okay. So, the word then, I know, like this has got a lot. We won't really have them this hard, but this one's got a lot. It's got then, so we need to flip it. So think about how 4 times S normally looks. 4S plus 35. Yes. That one's a tough one. Try to get used to the number in front of the letter. Okay? Now, my friends who are out, what I would do is kind of look at this, maybe look at the video tonight, and make sure you get all these. Now, here is the other thing. I'm getting ready. Okay, I'm getting ready to give you the homework. What I'm going to do is, guys, you've got to practice this. Then, tonight, it's okay. You can be late to your next class, or you can listen. I don't think I'm being that mean at this point. Okay, we're going to practice the same concepts. If you don't practice, you don't know if you can do it. Now, I'm begging you to practice this. Listen, when you get this sheet, please mark out number 13. It's multiple step or 2 variable. I'm not real sure. But mark out number 13. Mark out number 13. We will check it a couple different ways. Maybe remind after school and or definitely tomorrow before the quiz. Okay? So, listen, you've got this. You are going to time in 1 class. Or right now, you got about 5 minutes.
You can go to 6. 2 more minutes.
Okay. So, please mark out number 13. And yes, you're doing 18 and 19. So don't try to tell me you didn't know. You're doing all these. Thank you.
What happened if we don't?
You can go to Homework Cafe tomorrow.
Question, can I mark out 19 and 18?
No, you can only mark out 13.